To those who are listening and those who are watching, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and to follow the podcast so that way you know when we're releasing our content. And by doing so, you become a part of our village. And our village is our community of people who understand the mission of the channel, the mission of the podcast, and the content that we release. And that is to laugh, that is to love, and that is to learn from one another through the comments and questions that we receive. And if it just so happens you want to actually be a part of the membership, to be a village member, head over to patreon.com and you will be able to join by searching Q FLO Studios, where you'll get the raw, unedited, uncut, unfiltered version of the content that we release, whether it be from family content, relationship content, or financial content. And so we thank you for giving us the opportunity to listen, and let's get right into the show. Hello and welcome back to the Hot Seat Podcast, where you have your host,
Q.
And I'm Flo here, and today's episode is going to be a fun one. We want to redefine some things and to remove a lot of somewhat pride and negative connotations to some words here on today. But before we do that, we want to get right into our story time segment.
I don't think we're really redefining anything, but you can go ahead with the story.
I don't have a story. This is my story. This is my song.
Praising my Savior all the day long?
I was about to say what I'm going to say. What am I going to say? I don't know.
It looks like we don't have a story time
think
or
we
a
have a
story
story
for this story time.
There it is. That's what it is. That's something that has happened recently, and it has to do with parenthood. And I think I don't know, built a wall up and blocked our eldest child's confidence. Because I feel confidence, breathes out of you and you really know what it is that you want to do and aspire to do. And there is no level of indecision.
No.
And so I think I've somewhere, somehow along this journey of raising her, it's like she's hit a brick wall. The indecisiveness is at an all-time high, leading from she loves dance and has always loved it to all of a sudden informing us that she doesn't like it. And then the next week is she's really into it and wants to get back into it. Or she'll say something random like archery all of a sudden. Do you know what that is? No. Why do you want to do it? Because it looks cool, just like volleyball. But the moment you started it, you said you didn't want to do volleyball anymore. Now you want to go back and you want to do volleyball. So I'm just confused, and I'm thinking there's something I may have done to cause, the indecisiveness. And so I'm just struggling with that at the moment.
So I don't think that the indecisiveness comes from a lack of confidence, because Yvonne is definitely confident.
In school, in books.
In school, in books,
but
in
not
her
in food
look.
she wants to eat.
She's confident in school, with books, in her look. She's confident when she is meant to be the leader of something or managing other people. She's very confident in those things. Now, she herself is indecisive, yes, but I don't think it has anything to do with her confidence. I think that's definitely something that we'll have to explore more. But I understand that sometimes kids will throw out crazy things they want to be. Just the craziest things. Usually when they're younger, but even sometimes when they're older. Mm-hmm. But to be like, oh yeah, and I want to do archery. Huh? Where did you even hear the word? Because you haven't gone to any kind of camp. Ever.
I mean, she did watch Brave.
Yeah, forever and 3 days ago.
That's true.
But she's never thought about doing archery.
That's true.
So, it is...
Her and...
I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't know, but it's just like, I'm an athlete. well, was an athlete. Let me correct that statement. I was quite athletic. The knees say otherwise. So are my brothers. So is my dad, my mom, in the field of, or the realm of dancing, and cheerleading. You and the sports that you play, her mother and the things that she did. And it's just like she has a
Was Sean did
allergic.
something?
Yeah, she did track, basketball, and I can't remember the other thing that Yvonne's mother did.
Cool.
But yeah, it just seems like Yvonne has an aversion to high heart rate, sweat, any sports, or anything like that. And my objective is to expose her to all things: acting, modeling. She's gotten into art. Try volleyball, try tennis, try basketball, try track, all of these things just to try it, because you never know what you might, find yourself loving and having a close connection or joy about doing. And so it's just like, but she's just adamant against doing, trying, or being consistent
You
with
know,
something. I'm just trying to figure out what can I do as a parent.
well, first let me say this isn't much of a story, but
It's not.
it is something that we definitely need to share, because if you have any thoughts, opinions, suggestions, we would appreciate them.
Yes.
I do actually, now that you kind of saying it out loud again, maybe having time to have thought it through, roll it around a little bit, I think it has more to do with the amount of effort that has to be used. And so, like, because when you think about academics, she doesn't really have to put forth that much effort. And then when she was possibly going to be challenged, which was hilarious because she was challenged and she didn't even realize it, and she was doing amazing.
Oh, now that is a story.
Yeah, she was.
She was in the 5th grade at the school that I once attended, and she was, I guess, put in the B group, I guess. And the B group is pretty much, basic 5th grade curriculum.
No.
Yes.
No. So the school, they have combined grades in a class.
Well, that
so
doesn't
in her
matter.
class, she has 5th graders, 5, 6, 7, something like that. I don't know. She has people older than her who are learning more difficult things.
She had 5, 6, 7th, and 8th. They're all in
Okay.
there. But that doesn't matter. She was still based in the 5th grade B group.
No, she wasn't.
Yes, she was.
No, she wasn't. That's what I'm trying to tell you. She was 5th grade, period. And she was doing so well that they're like, okay, you're like top level 5th grade. They were trying to introduce other stuff, and they're like, let's see if you can do. She was already doing 5th grade work. And then he started her with doing some 6th grade work, which basically put her in the B group, but it was 6th grade B. So then let's see.
6th grade B?
Yes.
No.
Because, she was only doing half of 6th grade work.
That was 5A. I'm telling you, it's 5A. I went to the school. I know these things. Because the overall conversation was she wanted to skip a grade because it was too easy transitioning from her 5th grade at the old school, and now we're going to a new school, which is my old school.
4th grade to 5th grade.
No, she was still in 5th
Oh,
grade.
yeah, she sure was still in 5th grade.
But she said it was too easy. So now it's just, okay, go into the, 6th grade at this school. The school had, you got to go through all these hoops. So they put her in the 5th grade just as what we're going to do, just to see how she does.
Okay.
She wasn't getting anything wrong on any of the assignments. And so I spoke with the principal, and he's like, we can't have her do 6th grade, but there is like an accelerated, the higher concept or analyzing with math and all this stuff, that's 5th grade. We can put her in some of those things and see how she does.
Okay.
So the B to the A. And she's coming out with, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And I'm just like, you said you wanted to do this. So this is the way in which you can do it. Challenge yourself. And that's when the story comes into play on how she didn't really want to do it. She's crying, it's so hard. And then all of a sudden, she's getting A's.
Yeah.
In 5A, she's getting A's. And I'm like, was the test hard, Yvonne? And all she could do was smile because she got a B plus or she got an A minus, and she kept just getting A's, A's, and A's.
Right.
That's what happened. There wasn't. I don't remember.
There's
no
there's no 5B. There was A group.
Well, I'm just.
But there's
okay,
no 5B.
regular
So
fifth
she was
grade.
in 5th grade.
No.
He moved her to the A group, which included some 6th grade work.
Yes, you said 6B, and that threw me off. And then I
Well,
said
because
B.
she had just 5th grade, and then he had already added some 6th grade because she was getting bored, and so he needed to occupy her time. And then it was like, okay,
Yes.
let's just get. So she was like half 6th grade, half 5th grade. So
Okay, that's true. That is okay. Okay.
anyways, so like I was saying, I think it has to do with the amount of effort she is required to put forth. And dependent upon that is whether or not she actually wants to do it. Because if you think about her newest adventure, archery, like if you simplify it, bow, arrow, pull, shoot. It's not a lot. It is much more than that. But if you're just like watching someone's like, oh,
Well, yeah, I said the
that's
heart rate.
it.
I said the heart rate.
I know,
you
but you were saying it's connected to her confidence. I don't think it has anything to do with her confidence.
I just think so because of the fear of failing. Going back to, I don't think I'm going to do good when it came to going from 5th grade to 5A.
Right, but it's not her confidence. She sees herself as being top tier at everything. So if she can't be top tier and be comfortable, as in I'm not doing a whole lot of extra to be here, I don't want to do it. That's too much work. It's not that she's not confident. It's she don't want to put extra work in. So I think it has more to do with that, which I don't know how you break somebody out of that mentality. Yeah. I don't know.
Like we said at the top of the episode, learning from each other. So please drop in the comments. I honestly need some advice. I don't know what other tools and mechanisms and different things we can do to encourage that, because I know at the end of the day, their life brings challenges and things will get difficult. And I don't want there to just be this complacency or this attitude of, oh, I don't care, and you just fall by the wayside in life.
Right.
I don't want that. So any tips, parenting advice, greatly appreciate it. Drop them in the comments. Do you have a story? All right. So we can go ahead and get right into our topic of today, and that is all about the things that we have been seeing as we have been watching some very insightful TV. I'm using that as an adjective or a synonym, I guess you could say. I've gone into
For what word?
reality, or some people call it foolish nonsense TV.
Yeah.
I'm going to call it insightful, because if we were given that platform, I would be using it to bring more of a light of what it is that we are trying to do.
We are way too boring.
I don't think we're that boring. I think we can be very entertaining. There's a lot of crazy things that happen. Not anything crazy with this particular episode with story time, but generally there's some interesting things that be going on.
I guess.
And the people that we have to deal with. So, getting back to it, insightful television, learning and seeing what other people go through, how they're managing those types of relationships and challenges that they're facing, and all the while trying to be the best at the thing that they love to be, and using that talent, that skill, that knowledge to provide for their family. So there's been a theme when it comes to the TV that we've been watching, and that is compromising. And I think
Or the lack thereof, more
yes,
so.
compromising, that there isn't that happening so much, and I think that's what is being missed from the TV shows that we're watching. Was Basketball Wives, to SWV and Escape, or even to the podcast where we just watched a recent hilarious clip about monogamy from the Fresh and Fit podcast, that there's compromise. I think everyone's missing that, and the importance of it when it comes to your relationships, whether they be platonic or whether they be intimate, romantic relationships. So I'll let you go ahead and get us into it.
Compromise. An agreement or a settlement of a dispute that is reached by each side making concessions. That is Merriam-Webster. And then we have another definition here that I also like from Britannica, for those of you who are not familiar, usually seen as an encyclopedia. A way of reaching agreement in which each person or group gives up something that was wanted in order to end an argument or dispute.
Yes.
Compromise.
Your thoughts?
I believe that compromise is ridiculously important for the majority of functioning life when it comes to dealing with other people, and sometimes even with yourself, dependent upon what it is. I also believe that it is not easy to do all the time, especially when you have, let's say, two strong-willed, stubborn, hard-headed individuals. Not thinking about anybody or specifically, just stating. Those are usually the people where compromise is brought up and they're like, well, why? But it's so important. I mean, even with us and talking with the kids, the older the girls get, the more compromise there is happening with us and with them. I mean, Achilles is he's still young enough that it's more like we still have to direct you to where you need to be. So there's no compromise. Like, this is what you need to do. Now, go. With the girls, it's kind of like, okay, these are the things you need to do. I want you to do this. And then I want to start here because it's easier. I can get done faster and I'll have more time for, okay, just make sure this gets done by this time and we're good. Compromise. But again, like I said, they're older, so those types of things are taking place more. And even with the two of us, we would be the strong-willed individuals. So compromise.
That you said you weren't talking about?
No, I wasn't talking about us, but since I did an example with the children, I should do an example with us. Mm-hmm. So we are both very strong-willed, and we both believe ourselves to be right in just about most things. We do stay in our lanes, if it's health-related, it's, whatever you say. If it's finances, you know what do you think about this, seeing as how that's your lane? I'm thinking about, but what do you, So, but for other things, it's kind of like, no.
No, the front and the backyard, I got that, You have the inside of the house.
I also have the front and the backyard.
Wow. Okay.
But I do. Do I not?
But you don't.
Okay. So explain. Because this is you. I want to do this. Mm-hmm. No. Okay, what about this?
Inside the house?
Okay.
Yeah, that's what happens inside the house.
No, outside the house. I'm talking about the front yard.
You said I can do all the things.
No. You wanted to have like 3, what do you call it? The concrete square thingies for the walkway. Pavers. You wanted to have like 3 rows of them, and I was like, no.
No, I didn't want to have 3 rows. That's not true.
Yes, you did.
It wasn't 3 rows, because that would be wider than the side gate door.
You wanted 3 rows. We ended up with 2.
No.
Yes.
Falsery, guys.
It's not falsery.
The only thing is I wanted light posts all across. You said no to that.
Light posts.
Yeah, like I
Oh,
changed.
yes,
so
absolutely
we
not.
have 3, and I went one right here, and then one right here, and then you're like,
No,
no.
it doesn't make sense.
So
we have a light there.
I don't like that light.
But that light can be changed.
But compromise. See, there was a compromise.
How is that a compromise?
Because I didn't get what I wanted.
Exactly. That wasn't a compromise.
It
You
is.
just didn't. But there's so compromise. You give and I give. I didn't give.
You did give.
No, you said I want this. I said no.
You allowed me to do white. You allowed me to do white light instead of that warm, terrible, disgusting yellow light.
But I also want the white light.
Oh, I didn't know you wanted that. So in my world,
Oh.
you let me do that, and it was 3 instead of 2. Even though you brought up the 3,
I
actually.
did.
But I got to choose what it looked like.
You didn't. I did from Amazon.
I got to choose the concrete stairs and the turf and the brick wall. And
I chose what the brick wall looked like.
no, I wanted gray. I let you pick the gray. Which gray?
So as you can see, compromise isn't always easy, even when we're talking
I got the
about
patio
how we
cover
compromise.
with the trim. I wanted that, the gray. Yeah.
Okay, so, but that's not the point of anything that we're
The
talking about
point
right
is,
now.
she has the front and the backyard. Dang.
And the inside of the house, including
You know what?
his office space.
We compromise on my ideas. How about that?
But you know what? That's all the aesthetics. That's all what things look like. The material. When it comes to things that are truly important to us, we actually, it might take us a while. It might take us a few serious conversations that become escalated, and we have to take a break and the time out. But we do compromise on those types of things, like how we're going to raise the children, stuff like that. So, again, it's not always easy because I'm like, well, no, this works better. Well, no, this works. Well, I know, but I know. And then, I can always go out, well, who's older? And he can't say anything to that. So.
I have more life than you. That's my rebuttal.
Which is not true.
Which is true.
You can't have more life than me if I'm older than you.
It doesn't matter. I've lived many lives.
You haven't.
Experienced so many things.
You've experienced many things, but that doesn't mean that I haven't as well. Just different things.
Very true.
It's usually difficult when it comes to using words. I tend to dominate the situation because of my logical thinking. However, like I said, there are some times where even I have to take a step back. Like, you know what? I don't like it, but if we do it this way, perfect example, which is inside the house too. What are they called? Chairs, the bar stool chairs that we have.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Whatever they're called. So there were 2 options, the ones we got and then one that was a bit shorter. And I'm like, yeah, but not everyone is your height, tallness. This makes more sense. It's like, yeah, but my legs and then, okay, well, so I was like, you know what? They're at least the color that I want. Because I think you wanted like a 2-tone black or gray, or black and gray, or black and white, or something like that. When we were first looking, not.
It was the black one with the stitching. It was a different
yes,
color.
and the stitching.
Different color stitching.
Yes, which I was like, no. But I was like, okay. So I'm like, you know what? I'm getting the color
And then
I
those
want.
are out of stock.
So we can go with the height you want. So that was our compromise. So.
And in
again,
order for that to effectively work, because the seats were so high, we had to elevate the eating tray.
yes, which is hilarious because I mean, I'm just saying, if we had gone with the stools I wanted, it wouldn't have
We
been a
had to spend
problem.
more money, but the compromises you make.
Exactly. Which was also funny because we were actively in the store having the conversation with or while the sales rep is just standing there like,
You guys are hilarious.
I know, he was laughing so much. He was turning shades of red and everything. It was kind of funny. But anyways,
Well,
it's important. Compromise is important. It helps to further along conversations, relationships, many things.
yeah.
What were you-
And I think it's extremely important because, especially actually, it doesn't even matter. Whether it's marriage or relationship, it's still two individuals. And just like marriages work when you're kind of in sync and you're achieving your goals, it's the same thing with friendships. You're in sync, you're understanding one another, and you're giving and taking. It's almost as though you guys are flowing in one direction, as though you are one. With compromise, there has to be a level understanding of separation that there are two individuals who see life differently. They have different perspectives based upon their past. So, as for a simple example, we both need to solve an equation, but the answer has to be 4. You might do 16 divided by 4. I might be 4 plus 0. We still got there, but we just chose different paths. And being able to understand that the way that you see life and how you got to the end result and the way I see it and got to the same result as you, we still got to the same result.
Yeah, like basically there's no right way to cut up strawberries.
Yes, there is
Not a right
many
way.
ways to cut up strawberries. So I think you gotta understand that first and foremost, going into any dispute or situation, or I want this and you want this, or I want to do this and I want to do that, or I believe this and but yet I believe that there are two different people who see life differently. You got to first acknowledge that fact, because that is just the truth.
Right.
Even twins think differently. They see things differently because their minds are not the same. They just look the same in a lot of situations.
Right.
So I believe that's the first thing, is understanding that you see things differently. Now, coming in to trying to decide on something in particular, there has to be, which we've been talking to Yvonne about, is selflessness. And being selfless, not selfish, you're taking a step back to understand someone's idea, someone's perspective. And I want to be here. I want to do this. Okay, so how can we work out you being where you want to be and me being able to do this in the place where you want to be and compromising there? So if both people still get what it is that they want, and you guys are meeting in the middle, and everyone's happy about being in that place together.
Or at least both people get the most important things they want.
Yeah. There doesn't have to be a muting of self or self-worth or, who you are as a person morally or ethically. There doesn't need to be a sacrifice of that, because whoever you're with, friend or romantic, they're not going to put you in a situation where you would be sacrificing a piece of yourself or going against your morals or your ethics. That would never happen if it's true friendship. If you're really in this committed relationship or marriage, you're not going to put your partner or your friend in that situation. So that helps avoid any type of disputes or misunderstanding, and you're able to still compromise, because we both end up minusing something that is of little value to add something together that is of greater value.
And the best way to compromise is to utilize honest, open, transparent communication, meaning state what it is that you want, your non-negotiables, all of those types of things. And that includes friendship. I've been talking to the girls recently about something that someone told me so very long ago. Waffle Ware, I will never forget. She told me, you have to teach people how to treat you. And the only way you can do that is to let them know, this is how I want to be treated. This is okay and this is not okay. So that also helps with compromise, because if you don't assert yourself, if you don't stand up for what you believe in, what you feel is important, the other person isn't going to know, so they're going to be like, take that out.
Yeah.
And then you'll be sitting there with hurt feelings, but they don't really know that they hurt your feelings. So
You got to be confident in yourself to be able to create or take up the space that you need to express yourself honest, openly, and transparently. So that way there is no, like you're saying, communication mishaps or any type of misunderstanding. And so I think that is, paramount to the success of any type of relationship is through compromising. That's not an expression of weakness. That's not an expression of, oh, you're whipped because, your girl told you to do this and you're like, all right, in front of all the fellas, and now they're trying to clown you. No, that's you expressing that you value this individual, their needs, their wants, that you're willing to meet them there or meet them halfway. However you guys get there, you got there through communicating effectively.
right.
So that's pretty much all I have to say. Anything else you would like to share on the topic of compromise?
No, I think it's good. Other than more people should actually invest their time in the physicality of doing it, as in actually compromising, rather than just stating there needs to be a compromise, which would go with the reality TV that we've been watching.
Yes.
We have to compromise, but then nobody is trying to compromise. Doesn't make sense.
I guess we can give examples of what we've been witnessing. So basketball-wise, you have two people who pretty much grew up together that see each other as family and sisters. And now as they evolve as individuals and as people throughout life, living two different lives, but still recognize the importance of the relationship, that they've come, kind of at a disagreement of sorts. And they're not appreciating how each other is communicating to one another. So you can't desire and want a type of relationship trying to teach, as you say, teach me in this season of me, because me back when we were 16, 12, 16, 21, 25, it's not the same as who we are today. So I'm trying to don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. So you're expressing that, you're showing that. The other person now has to be able to accept and receive what is being asked. But once that happens, that person who is asking for it and the person who's ready to give, you yourself, the asker, has to be able to do what it is that you're expecting of somebody else to do for you.
Right.
And when you're unable to do that, that's when you have the cattiness, I guess, since we're talking about basketball-wise, and the ridiculous, you don't really mean just saying it just to hurt someone's feeling because you know that's their trigger, and you end up doing that to each other and creating a greater separation.
Right.
And I think that's an issue of not hearing one another and not being able to give what each other needs and compromise in the relationship in this time period in your life to keep that connection and that relationship strong, because it is of value, because we're witnessing two females having their feelings hurt and they're breaking down, emotionally about the situation. And they're treating each other, or one is treating each other as though they don't even exist anymore, and ignoring them, which is causing even more animosity and hurt, because you're not just taking the time to say what it is that you have to say, get it all off your chest, and then be able to take what that person is saying back to you without any interruption. And then you can start building that bridge to stay, connected in this new season of your life.
Yeah. Self-awareness and accountability are also quite important. At least I think in general for everyone in that situation, but especially for the reality TV stars.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, you can't be like me telling somebody you need to respect me and speak to me when you see me and this, that, and the other, but then I don't do that to you. I can't ask of you something I won't do myself.
Yeah.
I can't expect you to do something and then I'm not doing it and then not expect not to be held accountable. It makes no sense. So, and then for some people, they're not even aware that it's like, I want you to do this, and they're not aware that they're not doing it themselves. So you should be aware of what you yourself are doing, what your expectations are, all the things. Make those plainly known to those around you, and then, of course, because you guys are friends or intimate partners, that person should be able to let you know, like, hey, I don't mind doing XYZ. I would also appreciate if you did XYZ too, though. Okay?
In this way for me.
Right.
Because we speak different languages. Like you might like the intense, passionate, loud talking conversation while the other person doesn't. So you might like to do that type of conversation, but this person can't hear that. So you need to calm yourself, say what you gotta say.
Okay.
So that way what you're saying, it actually resonates. They're soaking that in, and now they have a full understanding of what it is that's being asked of them. Same person over here. You can't be soft spoken with a person that likes to talk loud. You got to get to their level, and meet them where they're at and say what it is that you have to say. And they could be, oh, okay, I got you. I understand. But the only way that happens is if you communicate. You can't compromise without communication. Because if you don't do that, then you have the dissolution of relationships and marriages. No different than the example, what you were touching on was with the queens of R&B, SWB, and Escape. You have this triangular dynamic of the youngest, I can't remember the names right now, but the youngest daughter of the mother is feeling disconnected from her mom because she sees her always taking the side of the eldest. And because of that dynamic, and now they're in this group called Escape, the youngest sister, from what we've seen, has always sided with the eldest, and that's coming from the home not feeling as though there's any backup, or feeling that you have to back up the eldest sister because mother always backed up the eldest sister, right or wrong.
Yeah, that's the only way you're going to be seen.
Yeah, so now you're growing into yourself and who you are based on your life, your experiences, your marriage, your family, your kids, and it's like, I'm not there anymore. That I'm not going to allow that or accept that anymore. And so now you're getting hit with pressure from two individuals who've always been linked together because you're trying to voice your opinion yourself. This is what I want in this season of my life. And when there's no openness, no accountability, no recognition of that being factual for her and her experience, acknowledging that, whether you believe it or not, you still got to acknowledge and then assess yourself. What could I have done to make her feel this way for this many years?
Right.
Ownership, accountability of that, and then the proper and correct apology, as you like yours a certain way.
I do.
Now you can build that bridge of, trust and connectivity between each other, and having those ears open in a way that is active, but in a way that's emotionally connective, because you can really feel the pain, the hurt, or the desire to have this or to have that. And because there's love, because there is value and authenticity in the relationship, you're like, okay, okay, those two things ain't that important. I'm seeing my friend, I'm seeing my significant other, I'm seeing my wife, I'm seeing my husband. I'm seeing them in this light. I don't like the light I'm seeing them. Let me take these two back so that way they can have this. Selflessness. Yeah.
I think that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it. I don't think there's any much more to say.
Any much more?
I don't think there's much more to say.
Thank
there
you.
we go. Sound like a Achilles sentence right there.
I mean,
I don't think there's much more that we have to say on the light of compromising, whether it be in your friendship, relationship, marriage. It's just, it is important. We now know the definition. We understand how it can cause separation, but now we know how to deliver and exchange that so that way the relationship stays good, stays strong, stays healthy as we evolve, whether we're in groups or whether when it's just the two.
I do remember one something.
Let's go.
Speak to your audience the way they need you to speak. It's something that you touched on when you're talking loud, not loud.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure that you're reaching them in a way that they understand. So there are those who, I need logic. Your feelings are important. They're just not going to help me understand. So logically speaking, how does that make sense? Not necessarily me specific, although sometimes it is, but I'm just saying, like, that could be some other person's viewpoint, other people. This is of greater value to me than it is to you, so why can't we just? Whatever it is, make sure that you're speaking in the way that they understand. If they're more emotional, if they're more, what's the word I was looking for? Analytical. However which way their brain seems to take in information and process. Speak to them on that level so that you have a higher chance of them understanding. Or as I tell the kids, I speak to you at your level. So if the way I speak to Yvonne is not the same way I speak to Achilles, because he would not understand. And that does not help him or me. So speak to your audience, whoever they or that person is, at their level.
Yes.
Okay, that was it.
That was it?
That was it.
Got it? Got it? Get it? Good. So, just to end it, if you're in that situation and you're trying to get to the compromise and there is true 10 toes down, I'm not trying to hear it, I just want to leave with this. Take people for who they are. Their action or non-action towards you will display your value to them in your life. So, if the compromise cannot happen, even with the attempts of communicating, just gotta let them go.
Or let it go.
Or let it go. Just another flowism, stuff I post just comes to me like that. I'm just so philosophical. But until the next episode, we appreciate you guys for joining. We've been paying attention to the analytics, the numbers. It seems like people are being more engaged. Back in the day, y'all was only in here for about 45 seconds and then y'all said deuces. But it seems like you guys are in here for a much longer duration of time, and we appreciate that.
Very much.
Because that lets us know that you're enjoying the content and you're here to hear our opinion fully, not taking that 45 seconds, dipping out, and then going crazy off the 45 seconds. And it's like you didn't get the full thought. So we appreciate you guys for tuning in all the way to the end. Again, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so that way you know when the content is being released, from family content to financial content. Again, we're here to laugh, we're here to learn, we're here to love, and live life to the fullest. So, till the next time, peace.